The current survey asked participants if they could come up with $2,000 in a month for an unexpected expense. 92% said, yup, they'd borrow it. What's the problem with this ongoing debt scenario?
Well, you know, it's just a different world that we live in nowadays. Canadians are living so much off debt that we're starting to forget just how difficult things could be when things turn. We're used to a low interest rate environment. The prime rate is 3%. So we're okay living off of debt. Yet the problem is, if mortgage rates go up, if housing prices go down, we're not really well prepared for what could be around the corner.
Are there other bigger economic pictures too, where all of these people in debt could actually drag down the country economically?
Yeah, and you know, Mark Carney has been spectacular. He has been the one leading the charge about how terrifying this is for the average Canadian. You know, we have lower manufacturing. The ratio itself is about 10-to-1 on real estate. So if real estate goes down 10%, that affects our GDP by about 1%. And our GDP right now is sitting at 2%. So a 10% decline in real estate could actually spiral us into a recession, and that actually hurts the economy even way worse.
Only 1 or 2 generations ago, you paid off your debt. That was job one. You saved money for things that you wanted, aside from maybe a house, rather than borrowing. What has changed so dramatically? Why the attitude shift?
You know, that's a great question, Jennifer. I think there's a lot of things. First of all, you know, a generation ago, interest rates were 10%, and if 2 generations ago, like in the 80s, interest rates were 15 and 16%. So a lot of people conditioning our younger generation the whole mentality has been pay off your mortgage, pay off your debts, and that's financial security. Nowadays, the average consumer is living off of a 3% rate. It's okay to actually have a little bit of debt. The challenge that the challenge that occurs is there's 2 factors that the average Albertan goes through. One is keeping up with that debt when things change, and the second thing is what's called cognitive dissonance. So I can actually have a good time today and spend today because tomorrow is not really me. We don't associate tomorrows with being ourselves. And so the longer out that dissonance is, the worse people feel about themselves, and they don't associate themselves with the future.
The other thing I see too is we are in such a consumerism society. New Apple iPhones, new TVs, new fashion trends. It seems like we really do want the latest and the greatest, and we want it right now. We don't want to wait. You mentioned Mark Carney. The Bank of Canada governor has been sounding the alarm on rising personal debt for months. When will we see perhaps some legislation, some lending rules come down, hard and fast rules to protect us from our own worst enemies, ourselves?
Yeah, that's the old Aristotle line. We are the architects of our own demise. I like that. You know, Mark Carney has actually started to impose a little bit of tightening on the monetary policy now. He's not increasing interest rates, which nobody expects him to do for a year. But what he has done is he's reduced the amount that you can withdraw on your house as an all-in-one or a homeowner's line of credit, and he's also reduced the amortization for mortgages. That in itself is causing people to pay down their debts a little bit faster, and that is tightening. But he's got a lot of tools under his belt. He can actually start to help the Canadian economy. Remember, a lot of this debt is caused by lowering interest rates. So he lowered rates to get people to expand and
stimulate the economy.
Stimulate the economy, and now that we're having the opposite, now that we're in higher debt than our counterparts in the States, now he has to tighten back the reins a little bit.
And working hand in hand with Federal Finance Minister Jim Flaherty on that one, likely. How do Albertans compare to the rest of the country? This poll by Harris Decima really an alarm for the country. What do we know about Albertans?
Well, you know, the real thing that's worrisome isn't the fact that Albertans are, first of all, on higher debt than the rest of the country. So we have a higher debt to GDP ratio. The average across Canada is about 152% debt to GDP. Albertans a little bit higher, and our average non-mortgage debt is higher. But on the flip side, Albertans have better unemployment, better incomes, better lower inflation, higher jobs, so things are better in Alberta. The real concern, Jennifer, is that people are apathetic towards their certain level of debt. I mean, it's not the fact that we're not just in trouble, but people just don't seem to care.
Yeah.
And so that's the real concern going on right now. People have to start caring a little bit more.
Thank you, Shafik.
No problem, Jennifer.
Shafik Hirani is a Senior Director at Investors Group Calgary.